Have you ever struggled to draft out a perfectly fitted cup corset from a dartless bodice? You're in the right place. So in today's tutorial, I'll be showing you step-by-step process on how I normally achieve a clean drafted cup corset. Welcome to Vena West Sewing Hub. This is a place where we share practical sewing techniques. After writing down my measurements, I went ahead to mark out my half length, which was 17 inches, then my under bust, which was 14 inches, and then my bust point, which was 11 inches. In order to achieve a straight line, I went ahead to mark the same thing, repeated the same process at the other side, so I will be able to achieve a straight line. After drawing out my straight lines, I went ahead to label it, the half length, the under bust, and the bust point. I went ahead to mark out my neckline and my shoulder line. I came down by 1 1/4 for the shoulder slope and drew out the line to connect the shoulder line to the neckline. And after that, I marked out my armhole depth. If you don't know how to calculate your armhole depth, I'll put a calculation on the screen to show you how I achieve my own armhole depth. Then I went ahead to draw out my lines, connected the points together, and extended the armhole depth line. At this point, I marked out my bust span measurement, which was actually 8 inches, but on fold is 4 inches. So I marked out 4 inches on the bust point down to the half length, and I drew a straight line connecting these points together. At this point, I marked out quarter of my bust measurement, which was 10 inches. I also marked out quarter of my waist measurement, but before that I did a reduction on my waist measurement. This is the calculation on how I achieve it. My waist measurement is 34 inches and I subtracted 3 inches from 34, which gave me 31 inches. So quarter of that 31 inches was what I marked on my waistline. After marking it out, I went ahead to connect the lines, meaning I connected my bust line and my waistline together. When I was done doing the connection, I went ahead to divide my armhole depth by 2 to equal half, and when I was done with that, I came in by half of an inch and I connected the lines using my curved ruler. To determine the length of the blouse, I went down by 5 inches from my waistline. I didn't want the corset blouse to be too long. I just wanted something that is a bit short, and that was the reason why I had to go down by 5 inches. But if you want it to be a bit longer, you can always increase your length. So I went down by 5 inches. After that process, I extended my dart leg from the waistline down to the hip line. I also marked out my bust span measurement on the hip line, which I connected to the waistline. And I imputed my hip measurement, put out my hip measurement. Then I went further to connect the lines between my hip measurement and my waistline. In order to draft out the cup corset from this Dartless Bodice, we will need our over bust measurement, and to achieve that you need to properly take your measurement from your client by placing your measurement tape under the bust down to the point they prefer, and in this case, in my own measurement, it's 7 inches. I go further by writing out your under bust, your bust point measurements. Under bust to my nipple point is 3 inches. And then I also went ahead to write it down and also wrote out the bust span measurement. If you have seen the video up to this moment, kindly subscribe and like my video. Thank you. Now we're in stage 2. In this stage, we're going to draft out the cup for the dartless corset. In order to draft out the cup, we need an extra paper. First, I drew out a straight line which acted as a baseline. Then I went further to impute all the measurements here. First, I marked out my over bust line, which was 7 inches, and I went further to draw out the line to indicate the upper bust, which is the over bust measurement. Then I went further to mark out my bust span measurement, which is 4 inches from the center front. If you notice, I indicated the center front on the paper. So I marked out 4 inches and I drew a straight line. I also went further to mark out 4 inches on the other side plus 1 inch, making it 5 inches. This is because the side of our boobs is kind of fuller, so that's the reason why I added extra 1 inch to the bust span measurement on the side boobs. Now, after drawing out my lines, I went ahead to add to indicate my bust point measurement from the under bust. From our calculation, our under bust measurement to the bust point is 3 inches, and I marked that down. Now it's time to impute our dart measurement. For this bust size, which is bust 40, I added 1¼ inch for my dart intake. If the breast size is bigger than 40, what you're supposed to use is 1½ on both sides of your measurements. But if it's lesser than 40, you can stick to 1 inch and it will be very fine. So for this particular measurement, I used 1¼ inch on the dart, on the under bust area to create my dart leg, if I'm making sense. Okay, so I highlighted it. I decided to use my marker pen in order for us to see the details properly. So I've gone ahead to draw out my curve indicating my dart intake, and then on the center front you also go ahead to take in 1 inch on both sides, 1 inch on both sides. Then I highlighted it using my marker pen, so you see how I did it. Always ensure to use a curved ruler when you're doing this drafting, please. So when we're done drawing out our curves on the side, on the center front, we went ahead to take in our dart measurement on the side front. On the side front, we went in by 3/4 inch, that's 0.75 on both sides. And I went ahead to draw out my lines using my curved ruler. Okay, now after marking out the dart at the side front, and you've connected the lines, you go ahead to connect your lines on the under bust to the side front dart, if I'm making sense. After connecting all the lines, the center front, the up part, you mark 1 inch down, and then at the side you mark 1/2 inch. Now I connected the lines. You see what I'm doing here? Connected the lines to the center front, then I extended the line to the side front. I just hope you're getting this. At the upper part of the center front, I went in by 1/4 inch, and I also did the same thing at the side as well. Went in by 1/4 inch before connecting the line to meet the other line at the bottom, as you see me do. When I was certain that my pattern has been labeled appropriately, I went further to cut out my pattern into different pieces. After cutting it out, I went ahead to use a masking tape to put everything together, just to have a picture of how it would look like when we're done sewing it. Oh, I actually realized that my camera stopped working, so I'm just going to explain that process again. It's called a break line between the bust joint. I marked out half of an inch, then extended half of an inch down to my underbust. If you notice very well, I placed the cup at the underbust area in order to get a proper curved line. Just ensure your cup is placed at the underbust to ensure your lines are accurate. Don't just place it anyhow. Just place it in such a way whereby you know fully well that after cutting it out, when you fix your cup, it's going to sit properly. So in this video, you will notice that I've done mine, and that is the shape I have after tracing it out. And then I went further to talk about the neckline. With this kind of style, with this kind of pattern, you can achieve any kind of neckline. You can make this dartless corset armless, like a tube, or you can add a yoke to it. In this video, I was showing you different kind of neckline that you can achieve. This is what I actually wanted. You can do a V-neck, you can do a U-neck, whatever neckline you prefer. But here, I decided to go for this particular neckline, and I like it because of how curvy it is, and it has this nice look on the corset. So I went for this one. Also, you can style the bottom part of your blouse using any form of design that you prefer. Anything, you just have to be creative about it. If you want it straight, no problem. If you want it curvy, that's fine. Whichever method you prefer, you just go ahead and free sketch it. Let me put it like, just draw a line, just play around it, just get something good. So I did this particular design on this pattern, and I went ahead to cut out my pattern. To achieve a neckline like this was how I got it. I just went ahead to draw out the shape that I wanted on the corset. So you just play around it, just give it a design, whatever design you want, you can do it while your corset is sitting like this on the paper. You just draft it. If it's something that is going to be so elaborated or extended, you add paper to it, then extend the corset. So I hope this explanation is understandable. So I decided to place it on my body, so we'll see how it looks like. This was the first pattern, or rather the first cup, without the design that we did last. So this is it. This was the other one. There was the other design. I don't know, I can't zoom it. I don't know if it's really showing the detail properly. I hope you're able to gain one or two knowledge from this video. So like my video and also subscribe to it. Thank you so much. See you in my next video. Bye.